Hi, my name is John Paffett. I'm the Managing Director and founder of a company called KISPE. KISPE is a program and systems engineering company where we work with customers and clients around the world, helping them take their ideas and turn them into a reality. So I've been in the space industry for over 30 years. Started off my career on the spacecraft manufacturing side as an engineer, working on electronics and into spacecraft integration, systems engineering, operations, program management with a company called SSTL, so very much pioneers of the small satellite industry. When we started, there was no market for small spacecraft, so we spent much of our time trying to stimulate the market, stimulating the applications, and then designing and developing all the capabilities ourselves to deliver that. I left SSTL a little over 6-7 years ago now, created our own team, KISPE, where we work with a range of different customers on helping them implement their space programs. KISPE as a company gets involved in lots of different programs with lots of different customers, ranging from training and development all the way through to spacecraft implementation. For the Spaceport Cornwall program, we were first approached by Virgin Orbit in 2018, asking for support in their application for grant funding for the UK Space Agency to help establish operations in the UK and the launch of Virgin Orbit's LauncherOne from Spaceport Cornwall. So we started off supporting Virgin Orbit, and then when they successfully secured the grant funding, we were asked to support their project management activities, so helping manage the grant and working with the UK Space Agency. Through that activity, we built a relationship with Spaceport Cornwall and the Cornwall Council and Cornwall Airport teams. And then in 2020, we were asked, amongst others, whether we could help support on the implementation of the spaceport. So I have a background, or the company has a background in small satellite engineering, so working on spacecraft design, manufacture, integration, test and operations. So very much well versed in what it takes to design, build and launch spacecraft. So we were brought in to support the implementation of the infrastructure that we needed to put in place to enable the launch to be occurring from Spaceport Cornwall. So we started in 2020 and then basically been responsible for overseeing the implementation of the infrastructure that we need to support the launch. When we were first asked to be involved, which was in about 2020, we basically had the idea for establishing a spaceport. We had a clear understanding of some of the things we'd need to do, the work that we need to do on the airport, the infrastructure need to have put in place in order to support the launch. But the challenge that we had was we were basically going to take a part of the airport. So Cornwall Airport in Newquay used to be RAF St Morgan. And so there are certain sort of old RAF facilities like the old air traffic control tower and fire station. And so we're taking an area of basically a delinquent part of the airport, and we were looking at taking that and redeveloping that to turn it into the facilities that we're using to support the launch operations. So we started the activity in 2020, and we had an outline idea of the facilities we need to put in place. Now, we'd put a lot of thought into the flow, so how this spaceport needs to operate, both for the launch operations, but also for some other customers that may want to use the facilities in the future. So we had a clear vision of what we're trying to achieve. And then our challenge was taking that vision and turning that vision into reality. So that basically meant that we had to do a lot of demolition work and knock down some of the facilities that had been in place for many, many years. So we had an old air traffic control tower, we had an old fire station, which all needed to be removed and demolished. And once we'd demolished those buildings, we then needed to set about to build a new facility, so a new hangar, in which we could fit that out to turn that into a space systems integration building, so with a large clean room and other facilities to support the launch. So we've basically taken what was an old piece of an Air Force base, and over a period of about 14-15 months, turned that into the UK's first spaceport facility. One of the big challenges with this project has been the stakeholders. You've got a large number of different stakeholders. So you've got an interesting combination of different stakeholders, different cultures, different personalities that you're trying to navigate in order to get this program done. And so that's certainly been one of the challenges, just from a sort of a people perspective, because you've got different legislation, different procurement rules, you've got different constraints with the different stakeholders that need to be carefully managed. And so that's a bit of a challenge. Putting the people and the stakeholders to one side, the other challenge is basically how to implement a development program in a very short period of time, navigating our way through the processes and the procedures and the legislations that are in place. That's a challenge in itself. So we've delivered the Spaceport program and the facilities in a little under 14 months. So to be able to remove and demolish buildings and construct new buildings and put facilities in place in that period of time is incredibly impressive. It's even more impressive the fact that was also done during COVID. So that just added in a whole heap of additional complexities like supply chain shortages and resourcing shortages and constraints on the ability to operate on site and when we can operate. So a lot of different challenges on the implementation of the program. What we've managed to do with the Spaceport program and the implementation of the Space Systems Integration Facility is put in place a state-of-the-art facility that enables us to cover a whole range of space and aerospace applications. So we've given a lot of thought into the sorts of work and the sorts of operations that people want to do in that facility, both now and in the future. So in the last 14 months, we've designed and built and implemented that facility. And what it gives us now is not just the UK's first spaceport and the UK's first payload integration facility. It also gives us a versatile facility that can be used for a range of different applications and purposes. That's been delivered on a relatively modest budget. If you look at other parts of the world and the amount of investment that's been made in those facilities, it's an order of magnitude or several orders of magnitude greater than what we've managed to achieve here at Spaceport Cornwall. And that's not about cutting corners, that's about being very focused on what are the key requirements and how to implement those requirements cost effectively. And the feedback we've had from the customers is phenomenal. We've had a number of customers that have been into the facility and are now actually operating out the facility that have made comment about just how good the facility is, and in fact that it's better than some of the other facilities that they've been using globally. So I think what we've achieved here through this project actually gives a really key capability for the UK, for Cornwall, and enables us to really have a centre of excellence here for both the space but also the aerospace related activities. So the Spaceport Cornwall programme was originally set up as part of a broader Cornwall Council Economic Development Programme, and that's all about how to attract business and skills and capabilities into the region. And sometimes we'll get all excited about the launch and focused on the launch, but in reality it's about how can we build that wider ecosystem and really encourage a growth of an ecosystem here in Cornwall. And so the Space Systems Integration Facility becomes a key component of that because it gives us a focal point, it gives us a facility that we can then build out from. And we're already seeing that. So the fact that we now have the facility, we did an opening of the facility very recently. We've got a number of companies that are now looking to establish their own presence here in Cornwall, building out that ecosystem and that wider community. So that's very, very powerful. And say, we sometimes get a bit focused on the launch, but what that facility gives us is it gives us a technical facility for a range of space and aerospace related implementation and test programs. So it gives us a world-leading space systems integration facility and a centre of space technologies. Really proud at what the team has achieved. My view is always you're only as good as the team of people that you're working with, and the team that we've pulled together for the delivery of this programme has been phenomenal. people look at the UK and look at our capabilities and think, well, you need to work with the US and other parts of the world to achieve this. And actually, what we've achieved so far has been very much UK-led, UK-delivered, using the UK supply chain, which is phenomenal. Seeing what we've achieved in the last 14, 18 months in going from these initial ideas to having that facility open and ready for launch is an amazing achievement. And I think we should all be really proud in what's been achieved and what the UK has accomplished.